The Mayor of Los Angeles with us, Garcetti. Please welcome him.
Good morning. How you doing? I'm sure I've missed a million metaphors, but if we can win in 18 innings. So it is all about blue today. It's about blue Democrats, blue Dodgers. I know we probably have some Angels fans, and I love the Angels. But we brought a whole bus of volunteers here. We are so excited. Thank you for the blue bus. And I know folks that come from far north, far south, and especially inside this district, which is one of the most beautiful districts anywhere in America. But it is not beautiful in terms of its representation right now. We have a man who is leading this district, who is part of a party that literally is about what they can take from us, and we're not busy taking things, how they can divide us. That is not America. It is not American to say, oh, when I take your health care, or take your coastal protections, or take your immigrant protections, or take away even your right to vote, that is never what has made America great. And when they're not doing that, they're telling us, oh, if you're upset, let me tell you who you should be upset with. It's that person who looks different from you. It's women, it's immigrants, it's Democrats. You know, I'm half Mexican, half Jewish. I have an Italian last name. I know it's confusing. This morning when we were riding down here and I heard about the shooting at a synagogue where somebody went in and said all the Jews must die. And 8 people are dead today. A week after we had pipe bombs sent to people because we have a president who enables a certain division and hate. It is time for us to come together, not just to say it, but to actually do it. And Harley Rouda is that man. He is somebody in this district who can take us and put country before party, who can say that we need to make sure we have a patriotism that's inclusive of everybody, who can judge his success by what he adds to our lives, not what he takes away from it. Protecting our health care, protecting our coastline, protecting our safety. I mean, here we have out of Washington, D.C. today, a president who literally is taking money away from our local law enforcement. Didn't know that, did you? In Los Angeles, that's what's happened, because he decided he doesn't like that we're welcoming to immigrants. So he's taking money away from our law enforcement officers who are there to make sure that we can be safe. Here's a president who has made us all less safe globally by destroying our alliances, by going after folks who are our friends and cozying up with people who have been our enemies. The thing that Harley Rouda knows is that politics isn't about what happens 3,000 miles away. It's what you are doing here today, this holy work. And make no mistake, you know, Eleanor Roosevelt, who once said, I think years ago, I'll have to paraphrase from a class I used to teach on human rights. She was talking about human rights when she was writing the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. She said, where do human rights begin after all? In faraway, distant places? No. They're found in places so small they're not found on any human map. Where we live, where we work, where we worship. If human rights don't mean anything there, they mean nothing far away either. And Harley Rouda understands this is about making sure our streets are paved and that we have good infrastructure. She understands this is about the insecurity that we feel because everybody is one medical emergency away from bankruptcy these days. He understands it's also about giving a voice, not to the extremism, not giving another country, you know, access to our elections and turning the other way, as Dana Rohrabacher has done, the #1 representative of the Kremlin in Congress, let's be clear. He is out of touch with his district, he's out of touch with his state, and he is part of a Congress that is enabling this president. President Trump is not on the ballot, but a Congress that is against our values is. And it is time for us to have this great awakening. I'm so proud to be here with Norma Torres, who was part of that. It was an extraordinary We just came from Gil Cisneros' campaign, which is neck and neck like this. These 2 districts right next to each other are the tightest in the country. And think about that. In California, we're always looking to other places. Some of us have been locked in districts where, okay, it's always going to be Republican. In other places, we don't have to worry because it's always a Democrat. We are the battleground. And I'll end with this because we got to be making calls and walking. You know, when you read the book of American history, it seems so cruelly easy, right? You just turn to page 87 and suddenly slavery is done. And page 105, women get the right to vote, even though it hasn't been 100 years that women have the right to vote, and not even 53 years that black women have the right to vote. Suddenly, farm workers are organizing. We win World War II, not aware of the sacrifice of what that meant to a generation, where that people can marry each other no matter whom they love. But know that in the midst of writing those pages, putting down those paragraphs, it can seem slow. It can feel painful. But make no mistake, my friends, we are writing a new chapter of American history when we elect Harley. When we show throughout this state and around this country that one man in the White House does not define who we are as Americans. That we are about an inclusive patriotism. We believe freedom should be there for everybody, not just for some. And that this is a district in which everybody should belong. And when you look back on this year and this moment and this day in this room, you will say that you wrote that chapter of American history. Let's go get Harley elected.